Hello, my name is Ian, you're watching iRun Daily, and let's get into some questions about my running streak. Now these were left on a previous video I did probably about a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago now, and I'm just going to go for each of them and hopefully give you a little bit of an insight into why I run each day, how I run each day, and how I'm able to keep that going for, at the time of recording this, nearly 1,000 days. So let's get into it. Okay, so my first question is from Ben Notley, and link to his channel below, but you probably already follow him or already know him if you're watching this video. And he's asked, do I have a specific diet that I follow, I guess, at all to help with my running? And the answer is no, not at all. But I am really aware of what I eat, and I do try and be conscious about making the right choices. Particularly when I'm in the build up to sort of a key race, or if it's the night before a key workout or a long run. That's certainly not the night to be trying out a new type of curry or anything that's a little bit different. I will occasionally have a recovery shake after a long hard run, but don't tend to feel like you really do need too many of those, just sort of at key times. And when I was training for some Spartan and some obstacle course races, I was supplementing a little bit with creatine, but not doing that anymore. So other than that, for me, it's just about consistency in diet, and just trying to keep it as simple and as unprocessed as possible. But that's all there is really in terms of diet. Mark from the test run has asked, what is the furthest that I have ever ran? And the answer to that is about 78k, and that was doing the Thames Trot Ultra, which is a really good race. If you're into your ultra running, I would definitely recommend the Thames Trot or anything by the Go Beyond team. They do some really good races. I still have got some unfinished business with that race, so I will be returning there one day. He's also asked about strength work. I do, but not as much as I would like to, and that was actually one of the reasons why I started signing up to do some obstacle course races, just to really kind of force myself into having to do that strength training. That is mainly pull-ups, squats, bodyweight things like press-ups, etc. But I do, occasionally throw in some barbell curls or some barbell work as well if I need to. But what I would say is, when it comes to strength training, I am someone that likes to use the phrase grease the groove, and that is to not always have a set, okay, I'm going to do 45 minutes of strength training, but throughout the day, grab those moments to do little things. So in my garage where I am here, I've got a sort of a rack which I can do chin-ups on, etc., and press-ups. And it's just when I come in here, maybe just do 5 or 10 pull-ups or press-ups, and just over the course of the day, just kind of let those things add up. He's also asked about foam rolling, so any kind of recovery routine, and in all honesty, I am terrible at the recovery things. I cannot remember the last time I used a foam roller, or even did any kind of significant sort of stretching program. And I was thinking about that this morning when I was coming back from a progressive tempo run that I did. It was quite a hard workout. I guess the way I kind of factor in my warm-up is my first sort of kilometre or two of running is always really easy. So very slow, just to allow my body to warm up. And I very rarely finish a run running. So what I mean by that is I'll tend to sort of stop my watch about sort of 500 meters, maybe even a kilometre short from home, and try and walk sort of the remainder of the run back home. So in that time, I will upload my workout to Strava, I will sort of flick through the data, but I'm also allowing my heart rate to come back down at a slower pace, and I can do some sort of dynamic sort of stretching and other kind of bodyweight things on the way back. I don't know if that has any impact at all, but so far, touch wood, things seem to be going sort of okay. He's also asked whether I do fasted runs, and the answer to that is yes, and probably most of my runs are fasted by virtue of the fact that I do them early in the morning, trying to get it in before the kids get up and the day gets started. so that I haven't got to worry A, about the workout, or B, I know then the run is done for the day. So whatever happens throughout the day, if something happens at work and I can't get away early, or something happens on the commute home, or heaven forbid, I fall off the decking and twist my ankle, I know that I've got my run for the day in. Two running brooms have asked a really good question, and this is kind of really about the validity of a running streak, and that is, what is the minimum I would run each day? And the answer to that is, I do a mile, but when I started my running streak, I didn't really know too much about it. I didn't really think that it was a thing, but upon sort of getting more into it and researching more about it, I have read that a mile tends to be the kind of the standard distance that you need to cover in order to, make it an official running streak. But whatever, if 500 meters is what you can manage, 500 meters is better than no meters. So whilst I do a mile, I wouldn't say that you have to do a mile in order to, have a valid running streak. That just seems to be the kind of the recognized thing. Time on Feet has asked about what the key is to maintaining a running streak. He said that he's sort of tried a couple of times to start them, but doesn't really get past kind of the fourth day. So that brings me into the kind of the crux of this video, really, which is becoming a bit of a narrative of me just talking. Hopefully I'll intersperse it with some exciting and atmospheric run shots. But why do a run streak? Why begin that run streak? And for me, really, it started before the run streak started. So my previous sort of athletic career, if you can call it, was being lucky enough to indulge myself in triathlons and long distance triathlons. So I've done an Ironman, I've done something called an Isoman, which involved an ultra distance swim, and basically, being a dinky, double income, no kids yet, I had the time and the money to be able to go out and ride my bike for 6 hours a day and go for an hour run, and it not really have a massive impact on, home life and work and all of those sorts of things. Fast forward a couple of years from those triathlon days and those swimming days, and I now have got a family, an ever-growing family, and that means that obviously my priorities change. Prior to starting this run streak, I also made the decision that I was going to quit drinking alcohol. There were many reasons behind that, but one of those was just to make sure I was really maximising any training time that I did have. If you are over a certain age, 30, you know that when you've had a few libations the night before, it is just not as easy to get going the next day, and you don't get the same value from your workouts. Now, this is not me being preachy at all. If you like to drink, not a problem. But for me, getting rid of that just made running and cycling and swimming, whatever I was able to do, an awful lot easier, because I was more motivated, I was more rested, and I had more time to do it. So that started, and after about a year, the temptations start to creep in again, and that's when I started to really focus on running. I knew that I didn't have as much time in my day anymore, and so the only way I felt like I was going to get a really decent workout was to really try and focus on running. And so, without realising it, I started my run streak on December 24th, 2019, I believe. I always struggle with the dates, but it was December 24th, 2019. And it probably wasn't until about 30 days in that I realised I'd been running every single day for 30 days. So I never made any real plans to start doing this run streak. It just kind of evolved, and before I knew it, when I looked back through my Strava, I realised that I'd been running every single day, saw the nice little blobs on my weekly Strava progress, and just decided to keep it going. And through that, there's been some really tough times. Obviously, COVID, the birth of my son was a pretty challenging one because he was in hospital for a while, so that was quite tricky. and you know, a couple of periods of isolation, coming back from holidays, having to run up and down the garden multiple times. I lost my train of thought, disturbed by the children going to bed. Anyway, so before I knew it, I was on my way with this run streak, but there was never any sort of clear-cut decision that I'm going to start it and I want it to last 100 days or 30 days, or whatever it may be. So it just kind of evolved. And then as I realized that it was there, I decided, you know, that it was going to become something that was quite important to me, and I wanted to make it, you know, have a bit more sort of accountability. And that's kind of it, really. That's how it started, and that is where it is now. So if you are interested in beginning one, or you want to start one, then I think I probably would say you can definitely do it. I've got a friend that began one, he's probably coming up to about a year now, and he was not a runner before he started doing his run streak, but he's kept it going, and he's, you know, doing his sort of daily mile, and that's just where he started, just a mile a day, which he sort of maintained for probably about 100 days before he started to build up the distance, but he's still going. So I would say you can definitely do it, just don't put too much pressure on your runs being perfect. Some days they are beautiful and amazing, other days they are pretty awful, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is you get it done, and then you can just move on to the next day. Alright, that's enough of me talking. Thank you for watching. If you've got this far, you're amazing. Hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.